Stop scrolling. The most significant shift in your brain isn't happening because you're getting older. It's happening right now, starting around age 50. What scientists have just uncovered could completely change how you view memory loss and dementia for the rest of your life. We aren't talking about a slow fade away. We are talking about a sudden, coordinated biological revolution in the very center of your mind that happens when most people think they're entering their golden years. By 50, your brain's immune system is quietly swapping out its defenders for troublemakers, setting the stage for everything from mild forgetfulness to full-blown Alzheimer's. In this video, we are going to break down exactly what is happening inside your head at that specific age, and why understanding these changes might be the difference between staying sharp until you're 100 or suddenly realizing your keys went missing in the middle of the kitchen. This isn't about fear, it's about preparation and power. Let's get into the mechanics of what is actually changing inside that hippocampus, the region responsible for forming new memories and anchoring facts to your sense of self. Around age 50, a coordinated biological shift begins that no one sees coming until it's too late. For decades, this area of the brain was teeming with microglia, specialized immune cells designed to clean up debris, prune unnecessary connections, and keep neurons healthy. These were the janitors of the mind, essential for maintaining cognitive clarity throughout life. But research has now documented that starting around 50, these protective cells begin a sharp decline in number. They aren't just aging slowly, they are being replaced. In their place, new types of inflammatory microglia take over. This is not merely a matter of wear and tear or gradual erosion like the rust on an old car engine. It is a fundamental replacement strategy gone wrong. As the protective cells vanish, these inflammatory ones proliferate rapidly. Their job isn't to clean, it's to attack. They release chemicals that cause chronic inflammation within the neural tissue, damaging the delicate synapses where memories are stored and retrieved. Think of it as replacing the fire department with arsonists in a high-rise building. The result is a toxic environment where neurons begin to die off en masse, even before you notice any symptoms. This biological shift explains why so many people experience that sudden drop in cognitive ability during their 50s, a process that sets the foundational stage for Alzheimer's disease and dementia years down the line. It turns out your brain doesn't just age. It undergoes a catastrophic immune restructuring that fundamentally alters its architecture from within. The story doesn't end with cell replacement. There is a second, equally critical layer of damage occurring simultaneously. Once those inflammatory cells take over the hippocampus, they don't stop at causing inflammation. They initiate a cascade of molecular changes that lock your brain into a state of chronic degradation. Scientists have identified specific alterations in how DNA is packaged within these vulnerable neurons. Normally, our genes are wrapped tightly around proteins called histones to protect them and regulate their expression. But during this 50-year-old transition, the packaging becomes loose and erratic. This structural chaos means that genes critical for memory formation and synaptic plasticity get turned off or misregulated, while genes associated with inflammation and cellular decay get turned on full blast. It creates a feedback loop of molecular disaster. The loss of DNA integrity leads to further cellular stress, which triggers more inflammation, which in turn damages the DNA packaging even further. This cycle accelerates the breakdown of neural networks faster than natural aging should dictate. It explains why cardiovascular health becomes so intertwined with brain age at this specific milestone. The systemic stress on your body begins to bleed into your cognitive center. We are seeing a convergence where heart disease risks and dementia risks share a common biological origin in these inflammatory molecular pathways. Your blood pressure, your cholesterol levels, and your gut microbiome all start interacting with this central hub of inflammation, creating a complex web of vulnerability that makes the brain significantly more susceptible to damage from external stressors like trauma or stress-induced cortisol spikes. The window for intervention is closing fast because once this molecular cascade starts, it's incredibly difficult to reverse without significant medical intervention. Here is where we need to challenge a deeply ingrained myth that has plagued psychology and gerontology for decades. We used to believe that memory loss was a slow, linear decline, a gentle erosion that happened gradually over 40 years of aging. You would notice slight forgetfulness in your 40s, then more in your 50s, and finally dementia in your 80s or 90s. That narrative is completely wrong based on the latest findings. The data suggests a much starker reality, a bifurcated trajectory. There are two distinct phases of brain aging. For years, you operate under phase 1 where your immune system is still functional, protecting you from cognitive decline. You might feel fine, maybe even sharper than your parents were at this age. But then, around 50, the switch flips. Once that inflammatory replacement begins, the trajectory changes from slow to steep. Instead of a gentle slope down into dementia, the brain enters a period of accelerated vulnerability. This means that lifestyle choices made in your 40s could have catastrophic consequences if they don't account for this impending shift. Stress, poor diet, lack of sleep, and sedentary behavior aren't just annoying. They are fueling the very fire that these new inflammatory cells are spreading. The old adage of use it or lose it is now even more critical because the neural connections you rely on are becoming chemically toxic at a molecular level. This also means that early detection is vital, but traditional cognitive tests might miss the biological signs until it's too late. We need to look beyond memory lapses and focus on biomarkers of inflammation in our blood and lifestyle indicators that signal this immune shift has begun. Ignoring these warning signs because they feel like normal aging is a dangerous gamble with your future cognitive independence. So, what does this mean for you starting today? If the science is this clear, we need to be proactive rather than reactive. The good news is that while we can't reverse the age itself, we can potentially slow down or even halt the inflammatory cascade by changing our environment. Diet plays a massive role here. Foods rich in omega-3 fatty acids and antioxidants act as natural anti-inflammatories, directly countering the chemical aggression of those new microglia. You need to nourish your gut microbiome because recent studies show that what you eat in your intestines has a direct line to your hippocampus through the vagus nerve. A diverse, fiber-rich diet supports a healthy microbial environment that produces neurotransmitters linked to mood and memory. Exercise is perhaps the most powerful tool available to you right now. It doesn't just build muscle. It pumps blood through the brain, delivers oxygen, and triggers the release of BDNF, or brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which is like fertilizer for neurons. This chemical signal can actually help protect existing neurons from the inflammatory attack and promote new growth in areas that are being compromised by age. Furthermore, managing stress becomes a medical necessity rather than a lifestyle choice. Chronic stress increases cortisol levels, which can amplify inflammation in the brain. Learning to manage your mental load is just as important as lifting weights or eating clean meals. By treating your brain health with the same rigor as your physical fitness, you can buy yourself decades of cognitive vitality and delay the inevitable onset of Alzheimer's symptoms far into the future. You have a chance to rewrite the script. We've explored how the immune system inside your brain is undergoing a dramatic shift around age 50, replacing defenders with inflammatory aggressors that set the stage for dementia and memory loss. We saw how molecular changes in DNA packaging accelerate this process, and why the old idea of gradual decline was actually masking a sudden biological crisis. But most importantly, we realized that while you cannot stop aging, you can absolutely change your trajectory through diet, exercise, stress management, and proactive lifestyle choices that target inflammation directly. This isn't just science fiction. It's the future of neurology waiting for you to act on it today. Don't wait until you forget how to get out of bed. Take control now. If this information helped you understand your brain better, hit that like button to support more educational content and subscribe so you never miss a deep dive into the latest science. Drop a comment below telling me what habits you're starting today to protect your brain health, because every action counts when it comes to preserving your cognitive future.